Hey there, everybody, and how are you guys doing this evening? We are back. What's Brewing from Mobile Cover Joe is finally back after a 2-week hiatus. We took some time to regroup, but we are finally ready to go with regular weekly episodes here for you guys every Friday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So a few housekeeping rules before we get into the show that we've missed producing for you guys these past couple of weeks. We have two new panelists that'll be joining us for What's Brewing every Friday, and you've seen them on the show multiple times before, but you will now be seeing them every single week to help us talk about what's going on in tech, especially during very busy, very newsworthy weeks like we had this past one, or any other events and whatever it may be. So you've seen them before, but we'll just go ahead and introduce you in case you missed them on the episodes they've been on. So our first regular new panelist for What's Brewing is Ben Schoen. He is from iTech Triad, and go ahead and introduce yourself, Ben, for those of you who haven't seen you on the show before.
Well, yeah, I've been on the show a few times, but I am the editor-in-chief over at iTech Triad, and I do well, not all the videos on the YouTube channel, but a lot of them. We do all the Android and Apple and Windows and stuff, and all the news, and trying to review all the latest gadgets, like smartwatches and phones and all that kind of stuff, so excited to come on here.
Yeah, well, we are very excited to have you on. And our second panelist, which you've also seen many a times before, is the famous Patrick Campanelli. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great.
And where can the folks find you on the interwebs if they've not seen you before?
You can find me at Gadget Spot. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Gadget Spot. We are a technology blog, very similar to iTech Triad, except nowhere near as great as them yet. So we don't get near as many posts out as we should, though we are working to change that. You can find reviews, news, editorials, stuff like that over on our website, gadgetspot.com. You can find me on all the main socials, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, although I never, ever check Facebook, so don't find me there. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to get into videos and stuff, and I know we are planning on, I know it's a little early for this, but we're planning on being at CES to cover CES, and I think some other people on this podcast are trying to make it there too. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Very cool. And you know him from all the past episodes we've had on Mobile Cup of Joe, or on What's Brewing with Mobile Cup of Joe, is the back from the dead Fred, who now has the title of editor-in-chief on the Mobile Cup of Joe website. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you, Joe. Yes, and I now have a properly glorified title at Mobile Cup of Joe, and hopefully we will actually be getting some written content up on the site. Even though this was kind of a quiet week, we've got we've got some features that have been brewing for a while, and plenty of interesting stuff to review. And as far as what's brewing here, I happen to have a lovely New Orleans cold brewed coffee with chicory. Sorry for all of you coffee purists. This one is cut with chicory, but it's tonight's brew for the show.
Very cool. Still cool stuff. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, and as Fred said, we are doing written content once again on mobilecupofjoe.com. So if you go to the website, the homepage now is all of our latest and featured articles we have on there. So definitely go ahead and give it a check out. We're going to try to put a lot more time and effort into that, but we will also be doing that in conjunction with the YouTube videos, of course. So we'll hopefully have video content and regular written content for you guys to check out. So mobilecupofjoe.com and youtube.com/mobilecupofjoe, you know the drill. So be sure to check it out on the daily, and we'll hopefully have new content up there on a pretty regular, pretty steady basis. So that's about all the housekeeping so far. Also keep in mind that we were running a $15 Amazon gift card giveaway this week. So at the end of the show, we will pick one of our winners and announce them on the show, and we'll give you about 24 hours or so to get in touch with us, and we'll send you a message on Hangouts or whatever it may be to get you your card if you do win. So let's go ahead and hop into the news, and we'll actually get with the show that we've been wanting to do for 2 weeks now. We have got some news on two new phones that Blue has announced. So we've talked about Blue a few times before. If you haven't heard of them before, they've actually been getting kind of a big name in the mobile phone market. They produce relatively low to mid to high-end Android devices, but at a really, really good cost. pretty affordable and pretty friendly to the wallets. And the two new phones that Blue announced today, as I try to remember how Hangouts and screen sharing works after not being on it for so long, are the Blue Studio Energy 2 and the Studio Energy X. So if you remember back at CES, Blue showed off the first Blue Studio Energy, and it essentially took everything and put all of its focus on awesome battery life. So it had pretty low-end specifications, but its main focus was the battery. So the probably most exciting phone, in my opinion, that they announced out of the two is the Studio Energy 2. If we're looking at kind of its normal specifications, you've got things like a 5-inch AMOLED display, 8-megapixel rear camera, 5-megapixel front camera, 16 gigs of internal storage, Android 5.0 Lollipop. Nothing, really exciting. But then we look at its battery, and we're looking at a 5,000 milliamp hour battery unit, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a smartphone with a really, really high-end or really beefy battery can be anywhere from 3,000 above milliamp hours. So 5,000 is really ridiculously impressive, and on Amazon right now it's going for $172. So this is obviously not going to be the phone to take on, the Samsung Galaxies of the world or the Apple iPhones. This is for something for people who just put the most emphasis on battery life, and they care about battery life above every other thing. So do you guys think there is a kind of a market for a phone that here kind of like maybe puts all the other specs on the back burner and focuses just on battery? Because personally, if I had an extra, a couple $100, I can definitely see myself getting something like this as maybe a backup phone to like the normal flagship you have. Because for under 200 bones for a 5,000 milliamp hour battery is a pretty insane package.
It is, but I mean, if you're buying it just to keep around as a backup phone, at what point do you buy a phone, or at what point do you just buy a spare battery or an external battery?
Yeah. So, like I said, this is, what about you, Fred or Ben? I mean, looking at the rest of the specifications, and it's not really anything that's worth talking about, but it's just kind of crazy because this is the largest battery that I know that we've seen in the States. That's available to consumers like this on a normal Android smartphone.
I think the question would be really how well does it perform to the common run of the mill user, to the public at large, who are not going to be spec junkies and necessarily want the best and brightest and fastest of everything, but want a screen that's going to be viable, a camera that's going to be viable, and a phone that's not going to run, where the battery is not going to run dry before the end of the day. I think most people on the street, if you were to ask them what they want in their smartphone, not too many people are looking for more RAM, more a higher end camera, and so on. What you hear people are frustrated about is that it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they've got to find some place to charge their phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's a functional phone that is going to do what people want it to do, maybe look not too much different from an iPhone, and if the battery's not going to run out by the end of the day, I think there'll be a market for it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I kind of disagree with you, Joe. I think the Energy X is the winner here, the lower end model, because it's a lot cheaper, even though it's a little bit lower in specifications. But because it's so much cheaper, I think that it's gonna grab just a little bit more attention.
How much of a price difference is the X from the Energy 2?
The Energy 2 is $180. The Energy X is $110.
Okay, and it's like a Studio X is a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, doesn't it?
Yeah, okay,
so that's still.
I mean, because the specs are the way the specs are, it's still gonna last for days on a charge.
Oh yeah.
And really, you're only sacrificing about half a gig of RAM, and you're going down to 8 gigs of storage. But at that price point, that's really good still.
But the one thing that I was just looking at the Energy X, the one thing they did do is they gave it SDXC support. So it supports micro SD cards up to the theoretical 2 terabytes we hear about, but it can hold a 200 gig SD card. And that's not something you see very often, especially in sub $200 phones, let alone sub $150 phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're definitely interesting devices, but there's again the case of even Blue building up a name for themselves. Like, there's probably people out there that would love to have a phone that'd get them through 2 or 3 days on single charge, but if they can't get it into, you know, Best Buy or on carriers, it's still the issue of just not being relevant enough with the general consumer base. So, cool device.
Yeah, but little bouncing off of that, I was actually in Best Buy the other day, and I saw 2 Blue phones, and I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, they've got the Studio X and the Studio G, I think, were like Best Buy exclusives they launched.
Yeah.
Like in the summer or something.
I totally missed that, but I was kind of impressed to see that. I think these 2 phones would grab some attention in Best Buy.
Yeah, so like hopefully we can see Blue try to like move some more of their product line over there because you know they're not the greatest devices in the world, but they're really cheap. And if you knew somebody that was looking for a phone, they didn't care about anything else, but they just valued solid battery life for just a little more than $100 for the Studio Energy X, you know they'd probably be on it in a heartbeat. So very cool stuff there. And moving on to another kind of, well, Blue's not a startup company, but kind of maybe a more known smartphone manufacturer that Blue gets relatively good gives a relatively good name for themselves in the news, but this other company we're going to talk about here in a second, or probably for the next few minutes because we're going to rant about them until God knows when, is the fabled OnePlus. So I was going to take this story off, but Ben, if you'd like to do the honors, because I know you did an article about this on iTech Triad, what can you tell us about the hashtag Take the Edge Off wonderfully brilliant campaign that OnePlus tried to launch earlier this week?
Well, long story short, and this is like the easiest way of putting it, somehow this company got more stupid. So the Take the Edge Off campaign, it is a campaign where you can trade a Samsung smartphone to get a OnePlus 2. Sounds okay until you look at the phones you have to trade. You can trade a Galaxy Note 5, a Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, Galaxy S6, or Galaxy S6 Edge. Only those 4. All of which cost almost double what the OnePlus 2 does. So, if you're a complete idiot, yeah, you can trade your expensive smartphone for a pretty cheap smartphone. I mean, granted, they do donate it to charity, which, you know, I guess that's a good thing, but still, you're trading very, very expensive phone for a very, very cheap phone, and somehow this got past their marketing team, which, do they exist?
I was going to say,
So
do
it's
they have a marketing team?
Yeah.
It's a good deal if you don't need the money and you could use the tax write-off for it.
It's a good deal if you have so much money that, well, that you would buy OnePlus 2.
Well, I don't think it's an issue of money. I think it's an issue of if you have the stupidity to trade in a Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge for a... So, you know, granted the S6 and the S6 Edge may not be perfect smartphones if you're looking at battery life, but if we're talking, you know, the Note 5, is the Note 5 included with that?
Everything that they've released this year, flagship-wise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the S6 to the Note 5 and the Edge.
Yeah, and that's not the first time we've seen them kind of OnePlus try to attack Samsung. We also saw them. Granted, Samsung had. Yeah, we had the smash your phone thing. Then also when Samsung had in their own right, the god awful 6 appeal with the Edge for the S6 Edge. OnePlus tried to use their sex appeal with the OnePlus. So it doesn't matter, I guess, if you're a stupid startup like OnePlus who's made mistakes before, or like a multi-billion-dollar company like Samsung. Like, these smartphone companies, they need to rework their marketing teams, because we've seen some good marketing from some manufacturers, but for like 9 out of 10 times, it's stuff like this that just does not look good at all. Yeah,
and I mean, there are bad marketing campaigns from a lot of different companies, but this has got to be the worst one I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, now granted that... No, go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say, this is a bad marketing campaign. I still don't think this is near as bad as Smash Your Phone, though. Still from OnePlus, but I think people videoing them destroying their high-end flagships was more of a way than them at least donating them.
Yeah, I'll give him one thing though, is on that one, if I remember correctly, it could be any phone. It didn't have to be your brand new flagship.
Yeah.
Am I remembering that right?
Okay. I
Yeah, but
thought it
there's
was
all
flagship.
Yeah,
it could be
no.
any phone, but there was also confusion. People were destroying their phones before they were actually accepted into that thing. So
Yeah.
they thought that if you just destroy your phone, you're going to get a OnePlus, when actually you had to like register, then get accepted, then destroy your phone. But people were just blowing up their phones and like sending it in, thinking they're getting a OnePlus One, and it's like, well, we never told you to like blow up your phone before we tell you, yeah, you're in this program. So they've tried, dare I say, unique campaigns since their lifetime, but they just, for the most part, have not panned out the way they probably were thinking they would, to say the least.
I think the thing about this campaign that just boggles my mind the most is they're only letting 50 people do this.
Only 50?
That just blows my mind. If you're going to get people stupid enough to do this, don't put a limit on it.
Right.
Or at least put a high limit.
Yeah, I mean, like, 50
So
people.
now the question is, how many have they sold out all 50 seats yet, so to speak?
I would be shocked if they... I'll say they did 3 or 4. But I can't imagine that many any more than that.
How can we find out how many people have taken them up on the offer?
Honestly, I'm just shocked it hasn't been taken down yet.
Yeah.
They're so quick to go back on something that they did that they.
I
that
bet after
was
within
seen
a
stupid,
week or
but-
so, and they realize that nobody's entering it, they're probably just gonna like quietly kill it and just kind of pretend it never happened. But in addition to that, though, we've also got some additional OnePlus news. Now, this one isn't flat out stupid like their campaign. This could be kind of interesting, but I'm still a bit hesitant about it. On October 29th, OnePlus announced on their Twitter page that being held in London, they will have an event to announce the OnePlus X. And the OnePlus X is rumored to be the fabled mini OnePlus smartphone that people have been asking for since basically the time the OnePlus One was released back in 2014. So my reservations with this are, from the leaked screenshots we've seen so far, it looks like a very, very bare bones, very cheaply made product. Granted, that's not known for sure. We don't know what kind of materials and stuff it's made out of just yet, but just from the leaked screenshots, it doesn't look like anything very impressive at all. And also from the specifications and the price points we've seen rumored so far, depending on where you look, about $220 to $250 unlocked. And specifications that, from what I've seen so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be kind of a smartphone that's going to compete more towards something like the Moto G. So my reservations with it come at, if this thing does retain a invitation system, which I would more than likely bet it's going to, I'm just really afraid this thing's going to be dead in the water, because even if OnePlus does manage to create a really solid, pocketable 5.2-inch smartphone that's a mini device, I guess you'd call it nowadays, but still has relatively good specifications, for $220, that could be a really solid deal. But it's just that you're competing with the easiest competitor to come to mind, Moto G, which has developed this ridiculously huge following since its initial conception. And the third generation that was announced this year is just blowing up like crazy. So between that and other devices like the Alcatel Idol One Touch 3, the Asus Zenfone 2, I just don't know how I feel about this. Like, I'll definitely be curious to see how it looks, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Think a mini OnePlus X could be the company's saving grace, or do you think it's just another phone that's going to be down the water due to the invitation system and other things we've seen from the company in the past?
I mean, there's no guarantee we're going to have an invitation system. I mean, they basically have guaranteed it with their past track record. If they do, OnePlus has a year left as a company, I think, if that long. Because, yeah, you've got the Alcatel One Touch Idol 3, you've got the Moto G, you've even got the Moto E. Huawei's got phones that are in this category. I mean, the Huawei P8 Lite, it's $250 off contract. Both Ben and I just recently reviewed it. And, it's got LTE, it just got KitKat, wow. It just got Lollipop. It got 5.1, I think, today. Sorry, that's the ROM developer of me. I was talking about KitKat earlier. So it just got 5.1 today. And, it's made by one of the largest smartphone manufacturers in the world. I think Huawei's, number 3? So if you've got that for 250, you've got the Moto G, you've got the Moto E, Alcatel One Touch Idol 3. If OnePlus does any type of their old marketing schemes with this new OnePlus X, whatever they're going to call it, it's not going to sell.
Yep. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it was a few days ago the phone leaked, and this could have been proved wrong or faked or whatever. I don't really know. But it leaked on Amazon India as the OnePlus Mini, and right there in the title, invite only.
Well,
It's not selling.
no.
Yep.
I understood the invitation system, even though it was annoying when it first launched with the OnePlus One. It made some sense in the fact that this is a brand new startup company. They needed some sort of way to manage their production facilities because they were probably blown away by the response they got from the industry when they had millions of people sign up to get an invite with a phone. So I understood it for maybe like the first 6 to 8 months of being a new company to try to find your sweet spot and try to figure out how you have to ramp up your factories to produce enough phones for your demand. So after the OnePlus and we got the OnePlus 2, I was crossing my fingers that hopefully this company they figured out what they needed to do. They learned from the OnePlus One, and they'll actually be able to launch a smartphone like the rest of the industry does with their own pre-orders. And then we got the OnePlus 2, and we saw the invitation system. And then if we get the OnePlus X and still has an invitation system, even people that were fans of the OnePlus 2, I think they're going to get burnt out by seeing a third phone have an invite system after this company has been selling phones for almost a year and a half now. So at first it was okay and it was irritating, but if they're still going to be implementing it come the end of October 2015, I just think it's going to really be a big deal breaker for a lot of people, even though for most people I know it already is like a huge headache for them and is reason enough not to buy a phone from the company. Granted, because you can't even buy the phone because you need an invite. So
Yeah, no. The problem with the invite system is, it's because they're still making the same excuse they made from day one. We're a small company. We need this because we need to manage the demand. And it's like,
first that worked, but
the first time that worked because they had no idea if it was going to sell. But by the time the OnePlus 2 came around, they had sold 1 million OnePlus Ones, well over 1 million, and then they had 1 million people who had reserved the ability to buy the phone. So they knew it was going to sell, still did the invite system. And they still keep using the same excuse of, oh, we're a small company and we don't have that many resources. Like, I really want to see OnePlus go on Shark Tank because they would be eaten alive.
The invite system does have its place. I'll give them that. And them doing the invite system for the OnePlus 2, honestly, it wasn't a bad idea. How they executed it was. They could have come out and said, hey, guys, we're doing an invite system, and we're going to send out invites in blocks of this amount every this often. Basically done a pre-order. Just you waited in line for it. But doing it the way they're doing it, and when they changed it to the invite is only good for 24 hours, that's what's killing them. I got my invite. I wasn't going to buy it regardless, but I got my invite. People I knew who wanted my invite, I mean, basically at that point you get an email and saying, hey, you have 24 hours to give us how $350, $450, whatever it was. You have 24 hours to cough over some money, otherwise you don't have a chance anymore. That's what killed them.
Yeah.
Because the last invites were good for a week, 2 weeks?
Well, I think even less than that, it was just the fact that you can't transfer the invite. So if you got an invite to buy it and you didn't want it and then someone else did, you couldn't say, hey, you can have it. I think that's what killed it even more. Not just that you had a time limit.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was an owner of the original OnePlus One, and I did like the phone for the period I had it, but it just seems like the company just has a tendency. I'm sorry for going on a rant about them for so long, but it just seems like they have a tendency to be a bit cocky, calling the OnePlus 2, the 2016 flagship killer. So it's going to kill the Galaxy S7s and the iPhone 7s next year without wireless charging, without quick charging, without NFC. And then there's this whole new campaign with trying to trade in your $800 Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus for a $400+ OnePlus 2. I don't want to see them crash and burn, because you never want to see a company crash and burn, because it's really awkward and it's just not a good situation, and a lot of people would lose jobs if that happened. So I just hope that somehow this company can pick itself up the ground and like try to do something that does not make me scratch my head and just wonder, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's like they have the resources now. They really do. I mean, like the companies that back them and the support they have from their fan base is insane. So they have the support and the resources. They're just still trying to make the same excuses because it makes it easier for them. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, so hopefully they learned their lesson, and I guess we'll see how it goes from there. But going on to brighter news that hopefully won't get us angry and depressed and sad.
Or blacklisted from an OEM's list.
Or that
I've been like that for a year, I guarantee it.
Yeah, after the show, we're going to reach out to OnePlus's PR department and request review devices for all of us to give away. Yeah,
sounds reasonable.
Absolutely. Yeah, but our own Fred Scholl, the new editor-in-chief for MobileCupOfJoe.com, recently got the chance to go to Geeked NYC, which is actually looked like a pretty cool little tech convention. So Fred went there the other day and got to spend a few hours looking at phones and all sorts of technology. So what was it like? What was Geeked NYC, and what did you see there?
Hey, so here it is. By the way, here's the... just in case you guys don't believe that I was there, I did get the T-shirt. So here it is, the official Get Geeked press T-shirt. So yeah, Get Geeked was a show that took place in Brooklyn yesterday, in the Greenpoint section of Brooklyn. If any of you guys are New Yorkers or familiar with the area, it was a lot smaller than other shows that I've been to, like Interop or CE Week, but in some ways that made it kind of cooler. Like I said, this was off in Brooklyn, not in the Javits Center or one of these bigger halls in Manhattan. And there were only about 50 vendors, which actually meant that I had the opportunity to actually stop at just about every booth there and see what was going on. And another thing that was kind of neat was that the first 2.5 hours of the show were press only, so it was fairly empty for that period of time, and did get to walk around, meet most of the vendors, talk to the PR reps, and so on. And as far as who was there, it was I guess it was a smaller sample of what we're used to seeing at the bigger shows. Everybody from the biggest corporate entities like RCA, Lenovo, JBL was there, hawking their latest speakers and so forth, to a lot of small startups, brand new companies, people that have still in Kickstarter and other sort of early funding campaigns, and it was kind of a cool event, sort of a little more intimate atmosphere. As far as who was there, I'll just take a few minutes and give you an idea of some of the stuff that caught my eye a little bit more. One was a company called Purism, who is putting out right now laptops that are designed as a privacy-based solution. And as followers of the show and my columns know, I'm a bit of a privacy nut. So anything that's focused on protecting people's privacy always kind of catches my eye, and we'll try to get some coverage on this up on the site. They basically put together a machine which is based in a already reasonably secure Linux-based operating system. Everything is set to default to privacy settings, so that even a layperson who's not aware of these things will find themselves in a reasonably secure setting. And from what I was told by the founder of this company, they worked with hardware manufacturers to determine that all the hardware is completely devoid of backdoors and so forth. So Purism secure laptops was one interesting item that I saw there. We spent some time on Blue before, and Blue was represented there as well. They've been longtime friends of the show, and I did have the opportunity to meet the lovely Carmen Rodriguez of Blue in person, and hopefully we will get a couple of the new Blue phones to review as well. Let's see what else was there. Something that caught my eye, being a bit of a music buff, was there was no shortage of audio companies there with headphones, speakers, and so on. One in particular that caught my eye was a company called Grain Audio, and they were really kind of an audiophiles speaker company, and among other things, their speakers are, as the name kind of implies, they're all solid wood speakers and really nice wood and kind of high-end audio without all the bells and whistles, and not smart speakers at all, but real nice looking, really good sounding speakers. Tons and tons of storage solution, basic storage stuff. The usual array of accessories, cases, backup batteries, and so on, which we'll probably be getting some of in for our holiday guide. So keep an eye open for that. And let's see if I can just throw out one so I'm not hogging up all the time here. This is one I was not aware of, was a company called Kobo, which is an open source e-reader solution. So they've not only got their own, they've not only got apps for iOS, Android, Windows, and even BlackBerry, but they've got their own e-reader hardware, and they've got about 3 or 4 of them. It's completely open source. It's compatible with any open ebook format, and I still wasn't completely sold as to the value of a device like that when we've all got phones, we've all got tablets, and they've got apps that work in all of those situations. So I got a little bit of a demonstration, and aside from the fact that the thing is waterproof, aside from the fact that it's front lit, which makes a real easy on the eye reading kind of environment there, battery life on these devices is as much as 2 months or more. So any kind of a device that you can take with you on a road trip for a month or more and not have to worry about charging it is just amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. As we were saying, we're all concerned with phones trying to get through the day, and there are devices. Of course, this is not doing everything your phone is doing, and you're not running video on it, and you're not constantly transmitting tons and tons of data, but still, months of battery time is great. So a lot more there. There'll probably be a lot of review stuff coming in. Oh, I'm sorry, iFit was there, fitness band. I did come home with one of these, the new iFit View, which seems to have some interesting features. It talks to heart rate sensors, although it doesn't have a heart rate sensor in it itself. It does talk to your phone, so it gets text and call notifications while you're using the device. And it's got motion tracking to detect what sort of activity you're involved in and start recording, I guess, appropriately. So I'll be testing that out over the next week or two and let you guys know how that is. And I think we'll have a lot more to talk about out of the folks that I met at the show in the coming weeks.
Awesome. So would you go again next year if you get the chance to?
I will. If they've got this show going on next year, I will absolutely be there.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm always jealous of you when you get to go to these like press events or tech events because you live like so close to New York City where all the cool stuff is happening, and then there will never be a day when there is any sort of tech event in Van Buren County, Michigan. So I envy your.
We pay a lot of dues to live in or even as close as I do to New York City, both in cost of living, air pollution, and a host of other things that make life here so much more challenging than living out in more open spaced land. So the fringe benefits are that you're a short drive or a train ride away from this kind of stuff.
Well, you'll be all prepared when we finally one day take our big Mobile Cup of Joe trip to CES. You already have like some, tech event experience, and I'll be there like not knowing what the heck to do.
You'll figure it out on the fly, I'm sure.
Yeah, same like me and Patrick have to do in January.
Well, see, at least I'll have a veteran with me because Kyle's been there.
I'm so jealous of you guys. I want to go, but it'd be hard to go senior year of high school.
You can do it.
That would be hard. No, that would be hard. I understand that one.
Yeah, and I would go 2017, but I'll be in Florida in 2017 because I'll be there for like 2 weeks from Christmas to like past New Year's. So
Hey,
maybe
just fly to Jacksonville with me.
Yeah, like ditch my family. Yeah, it was fun hanging out here for like a week with you guys. I'm gonna go to Vegas with Patrick.
Yeah.
Well, Fred, were there any smartwatches at this Get Geeked event?
No new smartwatches. It was, I guess, actual phone, etc. manufacturers were not as well represented here. I didn't see any, none of the major phone vendors were there. Blue, as I said, was there with their phones. RCA, interestingly, and I was not even aware of this, but RCA was there with a couple of Android phones, an Android tablet, and they've got a Windows phone coming out in the next month or two. But no new watches. Some Apple Watch accessories. There was one company called 12 South, I believe, which was all Apple accessories, and they had a real nice Apple Watch charger for those of you who have got Apple Watches and need a charging stand for it. But no new watches, and no true wearables that I saw other than the iFit itself.
Right. Well, that is okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more that I've got to mention is a remote-controlled, smartphone-controlled paper airplane, which I will hopefully be getting a review unit of. The first generation one is just remote controlled. You use their templates, you print up the paper, and there's a little frame body that you attach to the paper airplane. And the next generation one will have a camera. So it's some interesting low-end.
Well, if you want to secure a couple review units, I would not object to testing that out over here.
I will see what I can do. I'll get back in touch with the guys.
The drones are fun, but that'd be so cool. All right, well, before Fred rudely destroyed my beautiful segue I was building up to there, smartwatch. It's no worries. Well, since there were no big talk of wearables at Get Geeked, myself, Patrick, and Ben, we all have the Huawei Watch on us tonight that we will be finally bringing back espresso shot reviews here on What's Brewing and talking about it for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and let either Ben or Patrick kick it off right here. The first thing I want to talk about this thing is the design, because the Huawei Watch is, granted, one of the most expensive Android Wear smartwatches out there, one of the most expensive smartwatches in general, but a lot of what you pay for is with the design and materials that the thing is made out of. So either of you guys want to hit it up, what are your personal thoughts on the way this thing looks and feels?
Well, first of all, it is the most expensive Android Wear smartwatch out there. That is to clarify. It is the most expensive. I know me and Patrick both have the black one. I like it. I think it looks really cool. I still prefer my IG Watch R though. I like bigger watches, but I think it looks gorgeous. I think it looks better in the silver that you have though.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Patrick?
I am a very big watch person. I've probably got 6 watches around me, besides my Moto 360 and my Huawei watch. And I have to say, I don't want to take the Huawei watch off. Like, it pains me to take it off at night because of how great it feels. I've loved watches for as long as I can remember. Um, I recently, well, I say recently, in 2012, actually made my first, step into the nice watch scene and got a watch that was valued at, I think it was like $350 or $400. A good watch that'll last you forever, and I love it. And I wore it all the time. I never took it off. I got the Moto 360, and that was really the first watch that I ever had that, I stopped wearing my good watch for. And that's only because it's Android Wear, and I'm a huge Android person. But honestly, the Huawei Watch, it trumps that other watch in every way. It feels great. I love the way the black looks. The metal band is great. I think it's Ben. You're not a fan of metal bands?
I don't like metal bands. I don't like them.
That statement makes no sense.
I don't like
exactly.
them. I don't like them. I don't
How?
like them. They're
We're gonna have
harder.
a conversation after this about metal bands.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I let my coworker at work try it today, and he put it on, and he did not want to take it off. He absolutely loved the way the Huawei watch feels. He loved the way it looked. He loved the way it functioned. He's got an iPhone 6s Plus, and he is heavily considering buying a Huawei watch over the Apple Watch he was going to buy.
Smart move.
So it is, in my opinion, it's the most beautiful Huawei watch, or the most beautiful Huawei watch. Yes, it's the most beautiful Android Wear watch, and frankly, I like the way it looks over an Apple Watch. Apple Watch to me isn't that appealing. Even the $17,000 one is not very beautiful to me.
Yeah, so I'll just screen share, like, for people watching it. We've got the watches on, but in case you're watching the video, you can get a little bit clearer look of what the watch actually looks like while we're talking here. And I definitely have to agree with both of you guys. It's an absolutely beautiful looking smartwatch. My only other two previous smartwatches that I owned were I actually owned a lot of smartwatches. I've had the Pebble Steel, the Samsung Gear Live, the original Moto 360, and now the Huawei watch. And without a doubt, I mean, this is the best looking watch out there because while the Moto 360 did look like an actual watch, there were still some caveats about it I didn't like the fact there were no lugs on the watch, and also the flat tire. I know that doesn't bother a lot of people, and it wasn't a deal breaker for me, but it just reminded you that it was a smartwatch and you looked at the screen. So with this being a full circle display, sapphire crystal no less, which is one of my favorite features about it because I am a horribly clumsy person, so I'm smashing. Well, I don't smash against walls, but I'll bump it every now and then on a table or a wall or something. And granted, I don't know if it's the same with you guys for the black stainless steel models you have, but at least for the kind of bright silver stainless steel model that I've got, if you look really closely on the lugs, there's a few scratches on the casing, but the screen itself is still absolutely flawless, and that's definitely thanks to that sapphire crystal they're using on there, which is probably one of the reasons why the price is hiked up so much the way it is. But it feels gorgeous when you're navigating through the screen. It looks insanely beautiful with the AMOLED technology, and having that resistance on there is fantastic. And I think it was Patrick, you were saying you had a smartwatch for like a few years that was sapphire crystal, and the screen's basically flawless still.
Yeah, that's the watch that I had bought and I've worn since 2012. And I will say the sapphire crystal, sapphire glass, whatever you want to call it, it's amazing. I mean, my other watch has been scratched up against concrete walls. It's been dropped. It's been hit on metal. It's been hit on porcelain. It's been crushed. It's been sat on. It's been destroyed. And you look at it, there is not a single scratch on it. And Joe mentioned that the sapphire crystal is one of the reasons it's more expensive. That's why the Apple Watch is as expensive as it is. And I think a lot of Android manufacturers stayed away from it because of the price. I'm very happy that Huawei decided to change the game and say, you know what, we know it's going to be a little more expensive, but it's the better way to go.
Yeah, because this is definitely, talk about it's starting out at $350, and if you're looking at the competition between like for example, in the Asus ZenWatch 2, this starts out at 130, 150, depending on where you're buying it from. And then you look at something like the Huawei Watch, and it's $350, goes up to nearly 800. I do see the confusion that people get where if it's running the exact same operating system and it's going to function exactly the same, why should I spend that much more? And you really do have to look at more of the hardware side of things, where you're getting the sapphire crystal display, you're getting a a larger 1.4-inch Super AMOLED display, you're getting a stainless steel construction with easily swappable bands. You really are paying for the design of it, and although 350 is probably a bit too steep for a lot of people out there, if you've got the money, in my opinion, it's definitely worth the price of admission just for how gorgeous this thing looks on a wrist. So, Patrick, you mentioned earlier that you were having some issues with the vibration motor on it. Have you guys noticed any quirks or flaws with that? I know we all haven't had the watch for too terribly long, but do you want to kind of talk about the vibration motor on it you've been having some issues with?
I mean, like I said, I let my coworker use it today at work, and we paired it up with his iPhone 6s Plus, and he was getting text, and he's like, I can't feel it vibrating. So I'm like, well, it's got to be. And, he's like, I can't feel it. And then I tried it on, and I mean, I guess since I've wore the Moto 360 so long, my wrist just, and it sounds weird, but my wrist knows to look for something like that, to look for the vibration. And, I put it on, and I'm like, oh, it's vibrating. And he put it back on, and the vibration motor is so weak on it that you can barely feel it. My Moto 360, you could hear from across the room. I mean, it's just a massive vibration motor in it. But the Huawei watch, you can barely hear it, and you can barely feel it, I think. I don't know if that's just, with the models that I got. I know Ben said he had similar experiences. So I don't know if that's just with our models or if that's overall. But that's the only really big quirk I found. Battery life has been phenomenal. I mean, it's been off the charger since 11 o'clock this morning, and it's got 64% left, and that's with doing 3 factory resets to pair with different phones.
Yeah, I've been on since I want to say like 7:30 this morning, and I was playing 2048 through like all my physics class because why not? And I am at 47% right now, so.
That's impressive, because I've been on since 6:30 and I just hit 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It keeps bouncing back and forth. I don't know what's going on. Mine's been doing that a lot.
Yeah, I guess mine did too. I ran dead twice yesterday, but the first day I used it, I made it, my battery prediction was 4 o'clock in the morning, and today it's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, so...
No, mine's been bouncing back and forth. I'll tell you one thing, my G-Watch R's never done that.
Well,
I really like that one.
I do like the G-Watch R. It is a very, very nice looking smartwatch. And I will say too, this doesn't pertain specifically to the Huawei watch, but coming from the Moto 360, which has the older Texas Instruments processor, it's a completely different experience running Android Wear on a smartwatch that has capable specifications. The fluidity of it and the speed is just destroys the first gen Moto 360. So like I said, that's not something that's specific to the Huawei watch, but if you're coming from the original Moto 360 to a Huawei watch or to a new Android Wear smartwatch, it's a very drastic but a very welcome change to it.
What do you guys think about the charging method of it? Not having...
I really want to cheat.
Yeah. I don't hate it, and I know people were complaining a lot about how when you put it... Okay, so essentially with the Huawei watch, the charging method is a little puck, and it's a magnetic puck, so when you go to place the watch down on it, it snaps into place, but there are like 4 or 5 little pins that go into the back of the watch, right here, if you guys can see that. So there's 4 pins right there that the puck will snap into, and a lot of people are reporting that if you just go to set the watch down, if the pins don't line up just perfectly, you could essentially, if it doesn't hook up, you can set it on your charging station, go to bed, and if those pins did not line up, it wouldn't be charging at all. So you have to look for the little lightning bolt charging indicator. I haven't found that to be a really big issue. Maybe once I put it on there and it didn't connect and it wasn't charging, so it hasn't been a pain, but I definitely wish that she would have been over here because it just would have made it a bit more premium and a bit more convenient of an experience.
Yeah.
I've had my Huawei Watch for 3 days, and it's happened to me at least 4 times where it wasn't charging. And I know with your using the leather band, you can just set it down. I mean, I love metal bands, unlike Ben. But
Or anyone else.
but the biggest issue I see is I actually have to pick up the puck because, as you can see here, it's just one continuous loop.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have to pick the puck up and actually physically connect it to the watch in order to charge.
Is that the official band that came with the watch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the official metal band.
Yeah, I don't like that. I wasn't thinking about that because I got the model with the leather strap, but then I just got this, $10 stainless steel strap off Amazon, which does open all the way. So I haven't had any issues like that, but I can definitely see that being an area of concern if you've got a band that doesn't fully open all the way like that.
The nice thing with the Moto 360 is since it just sat on the Qi charger,
Yeah.
you just set it down regardless of if you had a full circle band or.
Well, plus
it
it just looks
not.
nice too. Like you put it on your nightstand, you set it down. It's like a little, nighttime clock. So.
Yeah, that's what I use my Moto 360 as. You can't really do that with the Huawei watch, but you take some.
Yeah, Fred, our unbiased, opinionated man who has not had hands-on time with the Huawei Watch or the Watch yet, as I said a couple minutes ago.
Watch, yes.
What are your thoughts on it, just from us talking about it? Or do you have any additional questions about our time with it so far?
No questions. My thoughts are covetousness. So I'm waiting on mine. Sorry, not too much to add.
Yeah, so Ben or Patrick, I'll ask the $800 question if you get the gold model. Is it worth the asking price? Starting at $350 for the leather band, going up to $100 for the PVD black coated stainless steel model. Do you guys think it's worth the asking price that Huawei is going for it?
Me personally, no, not at all. I mean, I wouldn't pay that. Not because of the metal band or anything like that, but I like it's a great watch, that's for sure. But everything that makes it cost that much makes it less worth it to me. So sapphire display, awesome, but it's also going to be outdated in 2 years, not several. So the sapphire display is really only going to help you if you're really, really clumsy. Because I've had this, my G Watch R, which has Gorilla Glass 3 for several months, not a scratch. So I would never ever spend the $350 on this. Granted, I don't think I would spend $350 on just about any smartwatch. But that's just my personal. Yeah. That's my feelings on it. I wouldn't spend that much. I wouldn't even spend close to that. I think the maximum I would spend is like $280.
That's fair too. Yeah, I mean it is a very expensive watch, and personally for me, I got this as a birthday present. So if it was me spending my own money, no, I'd probably go for something like the Watch Urbane, which is going for like $280 or $270 on Amazon right now.
So it's $215 right now.
Oh damn! Well, yeah, that's a good price. Yeah. So if it was my own money, being a high school student, no, I would not spend $350. But I will say that if you're someone who appreciates beautifully designed products, and if you've got the money, you're looking for a new smartwatch, yeah, definitely go for it because this is the cream of the crop of Android smartwatches right now. But it is a very steep asking price. But if you've got the money, it's a fantastic product. But is it too much money? Yes, it is. But you're paying a premium price for a premium product, and let's be honest, that box is probably one of the nicest boxes I've ever gotten for any product.
Yes, it is. That I give them credit for.
Joe, I've actually got to disagree with you there. And Ben, I don't think it's overpriced. The Huawei watch is not aimed for the high school student. It's not aimed for the college student. It's not aimed for really any of us here. The Huawei watch is aimed towards the businessman. It's aimed towards the person who wants a smartwatch but doesn't want to walk into a meeting and have a Moto 360 on their wrist where it looks out of place. It's aimed for the person who wants to look like an actual watch, feel like an actual watch, have people look at it and think it's an actual watch when it's not. and it's aimed for the person who wants the ruggedness of the sapphire crystal and the durability of the stainless steel without sacrificing in any other areas. So it's aimed for the businessman. And honestly, $350, I don't see that as being expensive for what it is. I see it as being, like I said, I see it being aimed towards the businessman. I see this in the same league as the Apple Watch, whereas I see, and I love my Moto 360, I love all the other Android Wear watches, but I see all those as being in the same league as the Pebble. I mean, they're great things. They look fantastic. But in the end, it's for a tech enthusiast. It's what they're designed for. The Huawei watch is truly designed for the black coat, red tie, white shirt businessman who's in business meetings all day long. Needs great battery life, needs good performance, a good screen, but he doesn't want it to look like a watch, or he doesn't want it to look like it's a piece of electronics.
That's very fair, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think I ever said it was overpriced. I think the price is fine. I think it's just the fact that I wouldn't buy it, and I don't know if I'd recommend it really, just because everything that makes it worth the money is going to be gone in 2 years.
You could say that with every watch, though, or phone.
Well,
phones
yeah,
are $900.
Well, that's a little different. That's a phone, not an accessory. But 2 years from now, this is probably not going to be supported. Well, maybe, but 2 years from now, you're going to have to replace it, which means you're going to have to spend whatever you just spent on it. And I mean, really, if you're going to be buying it every once in a while, do you want to spend that much money on it when you could get? I mean, let's say the Moto 360. The Moto 360, in my opinion, looks just as good as this, if not maybe a little bit better because of that textured bezel. And it starts at a lower price, slightly lower price, and it's going to last the same amount of time. So that's just me.
I don't know. I have to disagree with you because if you're looking for, if you're looking for a smartwatch that you just want to test out, but you're going to replace it within a couple years, then yeah, go for something like the Asus ZenWatch 2. It's $130 to boot. It's affordable. It's cheap, and you can test out Android Wear. But I still have to agree with Patrick on this. Where granted, yes, a phone is not an accessory, but a watch is. It's still something your phone and a watch, or smartwatch at least, you're still going to be replacing it within 2 years, 6 months, whatever the case may be. And while smartwatches are definitely going to progress and get updates and make the old models become obsolete, I don't see that rush to buy a new smartwatch like we currently have with smartphones. Now, granted, that could change within a few months as we start to see NFC and mobile calling become available and SIM card support, but I just don't personally have that need. That could be different for you guys, but I don't have that need to say, like, in 6 months I've got to replace my Huawei watch like I do with my smartphone. So that could be my own personal opinion, but that's just at least the way I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I still feel that if I'm going to spend, in the case of this model in particular, if I'm going to spend $450 on a watch, I don't want to have it for 2 years, have it be outdated, and then have to get something new when this is just the accessory that I wear on my wrist.
Yeah, I understand that.
I love the design. I love almost everything about this watch. I just don't. I couldn't ever see myself paying that much money for something that's going to be replaced in 2 years. And as Fred said over here in the chat, when people spend that kind of money on a watch, they expect to keep it for years.
Well, that's it. There's a culture. Patrick. There's a culture and a tradition about watches already. People have been buying watches for generations, and you can get a cheap watch. You can get a very cheap fashion watches where people will buy multiple ones and wear different ones with different outfits and that sort of thing. But when once you start getting into hundreds of dollars for a watch, people expect, as Alvy said, you expect a timepiece, an heirloom that's going to be with you for years, if not decades. And it's a different mindset. So For people that want to be on the cutting edge of technology, yeah, people will spend $300 on a watch, and in another year or two they'll spend it again. But for the average layperson, you spend money on a watch. It's people think of it as almost a lifetime investment.
I agree, but I disagree. I agree that yes, it's a timepiece, it's an heirloom, but it's also we're in a very fast changing generation. I mean, go back 7 years, 8 years. The first iPhone came out. Look at where we came from. Cell phones used to be something that you would buy once and you would use forever. Now we get a new one every 6 months. I think smartwatches are the same thing. Smartphones, or phones in general, used to be insanely expensive, and people would buy it and then they would use it forever until it literally broke and would stop working, regardless of the functionality. I work in a cell phone repair shop. I can't tell you how many people with iPhone 3GSs and iPhone 4s come in because it just still works. Even though it's outdated, even though it's no longer supported, they're still using it. I think smartwatches are going to be the same thing. Are they going to last 50, 100 years like a good $600 Rolex? No. But I still think that for what it is, it's totally worth every penny.
I'll say that for the base model. I'll give it for the base model. That's all I'm going to give it.
Well, let us know in the chat on Twitter or in the comments below what you think. If you're going to go with Team Fred and Ben, or if you're going to go with Team Pat and Joe right here. If you go with Team Pat and Joe, you're making the right choice. But if you go with Team Ben and Fred, I would reconsider your move there. But no, it's definitely, yeah, there's two sides to it, and yeah, you can look at it both ways, so it's definitely a good conversation to keep going, and they actually led into a debate I was not expecting, but was very welcome to get a heated, kind of get the gloves off, getting down and dirty with a whole smartwatch discussion there.
Oh, this wasn't down and dirty. It gets worse than this.
So yeah, let us know on the socials, hashtag MCOJBrew, Twitter, Facebook, or Google+, if you think that a smartwatch should be something that you keep for years and you don't spend a lot of money on it, or if I'm very poorly summarizing this whole conversation, but just leave your response to what you got from this conversation here. But it is time now to announce our winner for the $15 Amazon gift card, and if Joe can. Yes, Patrick, it's you. If I can remember how to get sound effects on Google Hangouts, I will play our drum roll. Possibly. Okay, so the winner of the $15 Amazon gift card is... That's not the right one. No, we'll leave it at that. It is Brandon Geisel, who said that his favorite Halloween movie was Zombieland. So congratulations. You are the winner for the $15 Amazon gift card. So I'll go ahead and message you on Hangouts this evening, and if you respond to me, I'll get you that code sent. So thank you to everyone who entered. We are hoping to get some more giveaways going. In a perfect world, I'd like to get at least one giveaway every month. I just wanted to throw one out tonight for our from our 2-week hiatus, getting back with what's brewing. So thank you, and be on the lookout for more giveaways. We'll keep you updated on all the socials and on mobilecupofjoe.com. So before we get out of here, yeah, all the applause. So before we get out of here tonight, we'll go ahead and catch up with the hosts and see what they've got going on. And we'll just go left from right. Ben, what is coming up with you this weekend?
Well, tomorrow I am going to finally shoot my review of the Moto X Pure Edition, which I'm kind of excited to do. Other than that, just covering all the news, working on a ton of other reviews. I've got a couple of Chromebooks in right now. I just got a Windows computer, and of course the Huawei Watch. So, yeah, so it should be a fun week ahead. Busy, though.
Very nice. So I expect your review of the Huawei Watch to be it's fantastic. Spend all the money you can on it. It's worth every penny. What about you, Fred? Are you going to take it easy from your day back from your weekend back from your fancy New York tech show, or are you gonna
Fancy New York Tech Show. There we go. Well, yeah, I've got a backlog as usual of stuff to review here. The new iFit, as I mentioned. I recently received a Bluetooth smart LED bulb with speaker included from One by One, which I'll be testing out and posting a review of shortly. And a bunch of other audio equipment here, that speakers and headphones and earbuds to test. So I've got my hands full for a while, and some other interesting stories, I think, that will be ready for release on the site in the not-too-distant future.
Awesome. And yeah, like I said, keep an eye out on the site because Fred and I are heading the written content on there, so yeah, I'm really excited to get writing again. Like, it's a lot different than just writing scripts for videos. It's a lot of fun to actually publish written content once again. I'm really, really excited to see how it goes. And going on to Patrick Campanale, who is a very smart thinker and is on my team for the whole smartwatch debate.
Agreed.
What's going on with you this weekend, man?
I've got a lot of different reviews coming up. My MX Master review that I've been working on for months now is finally ready. It'll be out soon. It's my favorite mouse. You know, I never thought I would advocate spending $100 on a mouse, much like, you know, I never thought I'd advocate spending $450 on a smartwatch, but, you know, things happen.
Oh, where's that? So, I need that sound effect, that drum sound effect now.
So that's coming. I've got, you know, a lot of stuff in office to review: gaming mice, keyboards, the Huawei Watch, bunch of different stuff. And if people don't know, I am affiliated with Carbon ROM, which is a custom Android ROM, and we've got kind of a big announcement. This is just kind of a little last-minute announcement here. I know it's, you know, I know M just dropped, but we are launching our Lollipop 5.1.1 weeklies starting this week. So if you run Carbon, if you've heard of us, yes, we're not dead, and we are coming back. So, and there's Joe with the late rim shot.
Well, late's better than never, so.
This is true.
Yeah, so for me this week, I have got I'm going to the Arcadia Festival Center in Kalamazoo at like 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. There's Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. I'm going to get involved with that because I've been donating money at school, so helping out with that. What else do I have going on? I'm going to spending all day tomorrow after that setting up for a big family party we're having on Sunday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And as for Mobile Cup of Joe related stuff, we should be getting the Note 5 review up soon from Alvi, so hopefully within the next couple of days, maybe Monday or Tuesday next week, that'll be on the channel. I still need to do my Project 5 summary that I've been meaning to do for like 2 months now, but I've never got the chance to, so hopefully at some point I'll be able to get that site on the week. And also Patrick needs to send me some of his mom's pizza because I really want some of that now, so...
Just come to Florida, it's okay, there's enough.
I'll be there next Christmas, so we'll hook it up then.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to about do it for us here on Mobile Cup of Joe tonight. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. We're all really excited to be back on the show, and we will be back once again next Friday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, though, make sure once again to hit us up on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Check us out on our website, mobilecupofjoe.com, and subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/mobilecupofjoe. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Made it through the whole show. Okay, see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later. Good night.